Hey there you lot, welcome back to another update at Backblends Fish. I missed the boat again, it's Monday morning. I should have done this yesterday, but being the football tragic that I am, I watched a lot of footy on the weekend. Some big finals on. My team, the Cats, got up, so I'm happy about that. Had a good week with the fish as always, lots to show you. I'll see you on the other side with an update. See you soon. Rightio then, my week was pretty hectic. I had a week off work for the first time in a little while, which was great because I needed it, and I was a bit behind on some things, and some important footy finals had to be watched and so on and so forth. Plus I sent out a decent shipment of fish this weekend up to Sydney, so thanks to Craig for support of my efforts with breeding, and I hope they go well for you, man. One of the jobs I got to this week, which was a bit of a time coming, was work along this bottom back row. I'm going to, I might struggle with some of the filming here because I'm down at ground zero, as I call it, on my knees, and it just might not be the most smooth filming, not that it ever is with me, but you'll get the idea. Tank in front was a catch and harvest and a fail, unfortunately. This tank has a couple of bread and butter types in the Manganos and the Dragon Blood Peacocks, and both of those failed to produce for me, but that wasn't disappointing on the day because the fish that I did pull some fry from is the Victorian cichlid, the Pundamalia nyururae, and this is the Python Island variant. Probably not the prettiest variant in Australia, but that means that they're probably one of the rarer ones now because people gravitate towards the prettiest variant in Australia. I was able to strip a young female, and I had quite a good little yield of those. There was probably 30 babies, which I popped into a Zis box, and the way this tank is, I have to use the suction cups on the Zis box, and I came out the next morning to find the tank, the vessel hanging at about a 45-degree angle. The top suction cup had still held, but the other three had let go for whatever reason, so it was, imagine hanging off a ledge by one arm, it was doing that, and two of those bloody Manganos were in the box. They'd managed to swim in through the little hole on top and had a good old feed of babies, and then probably spent the rest of the night fighting. So that was, in the end, a complete loss, and they got a bit of punishment the next day by not being fed because I was a bit cross about it. Moving along, next door here is the other variant of Ruddy Island amongst a couple of other species. I've got some Zimbabwe rocks with the baits in here, sulphur crested lithos, Zimbabwe, and the peachy looking Mabuna these are pretty bloody rare, but I'm also getting anxious because I think this is about it. There's this is Labiotropheus fulliborni Nakatanga variant, and these are an albino form, and I think I've got one boy and 4 girls left. The boy's the pearly white fella, and I've got 4 young females here. I had more of these, and I'm not sure what has been going on, and this is sometimes a problem with tanks on the bottom row. They tend to go a bit out of sight, out of mind for a time. So no fry yet, but I need to be on my game because the next mouthful is crucial. And we did get some of these beautiful Ruddy Islands. I'll just try and creep along to the box here. So 2 very small females, maybe 25 fry there, so that's something to show, and thankfully that Zis box has held for me. This is a tank I've probably not shown you yet in the recent go-arounds. This is my smallish group, and this is something I'm just about ready to give up on, the Matria Climber Blueberry Zebras. Just something I used to have and really enjoy years ago, and I think they got mishandled and sort of bred across a standard OB Zebra, and ever since then they've not been what I remember when I first got them. And now I've got limited numbers. I think I've got about 6 or 7 fish here. I do have a mouthful growing around the back from last time I stripped. I didn't get any this time. What I did get though is, which is the first sort of for the year, is the Lethrinops lathrinus in there. I got a couple of mouthfuls of those out. Once again, we've got a box with some fry, and I've got an egg tumbler around the back I'll show you, which is just needed a little whirly gig for a week or so, and they've come along okay. This is a tank that I've just been in and cleaned up. I didn't produce any fish out of here, but what I've done is I've moved my group of what are they called? Astato tilapia lafasciata, the zebra obliquitans. So I'm just going to turn my camera off. It's gone black for some reason. Okay, that's better. We can see them again. So this is the fish. I think I've mentioned this every time I talk about them. These get called crimson tides in Australia, and that's wrong. I think crimson tide's actually this Rudy Island back there, but whatever. Finally got these set up into a group. These have been sitting in a big grow out tank for a long time, and they've started to produce in that tank, and I haven't been managing to strip any because of that situation, but now I've got them isolated, and I did manage to get a mouthful out as that happened. So we've got some of them growing on, tumbling around the back, which I'll show you also in a minute when we get up off the floor here. This is another tank that I've cleaned up. Didn't produce any fry yet because we're still looking at some young fish, but we're looking at some sexy fish. What you just saw there was a BOD, a black orange dorsal, which is another Otopharynx lithorbate that's been line bred to produce that really spectacular orange dorsal finnage. And this is a young group of fish I got from Bill a little while ago, amongst which we have some albino pindani, Pseudotropheus sokolofi. These have bred. I've got some fry around the back. I didn't get any out this time, but possibly had missed because I found a female that was a bit skinny and had the sort of slack jaw like she'd been holding, and I just was a day late on it. Also got some hippo point salmons in there, but waiting for them to mature and start breeding for me. And this was just another clean-up and redistribution of fish. So cobalt blue zebras, still a bit young, but must be getting close by now. And we also have released some, this is another Victorian cichlid, the Haplochromis SP44, the thick skin, sometimes called a red tail hap. These are 25 or so. The last that I have, I lost my colony earlier in the year, but thankfully had some fry, and they're now in here to kick on to hopefully start breeding soon. And I think I've got 3 or 4 iceberg electric blues in that tank, which is just a staple that I'm growing on to try and produce. That's better. I also did this tank earlier in the week. I thought I was just going in for a clean and reconnaissance. This is Protomylus fenestratus nicanda tigers. 10 of, I think I've got in there. And we've also got in here now some the little dark Mabuna types are Matria climber species Coenga Gold, and these did surprise me. I actually, even at this small size, and I hadn't really been watching hard because there wasn't a super sexy male anywhere that was knocking my socks off, but it turned out that 3 fish had actually bred in here, including like one of these real small ones had the grand total of 2 babies in her mouth, but they were fully formed, so they're in there with some baby bristlenose. And I did have 25 or so eggs from 2 bigger females, which I was real excited about, but you can guess what happened to that egg tumbler. I came out the next morning and they had fallen to the bottom of the tank, and those eggs are ruined. I've got I think I've got a fix in mind. I'm going to be making a tank, which I'll make a video from, designated purely for egg tumblers and trying to address a couple of these issues. The other fish we've moved into here as part of this clean is, I've got a small number of Christmas Fulu. This is another Victorian cichlid, lovely male there. And I'm just hoping that a few of these little girls will kick up to size and get us on the way towards breeding some of those. What else did I do this week? I moved the Nasuta capillis up here, the gold ophthalmotilapia Nasuta capillis, which are pretty spectacular. I've got these from my good friend Max, and unfortunately we've just lucked out with a high number of males. We've got a beautiful male there, and I was hoping I had 3 females, but I think I've only got 2 females, because I think one of them's got signs of the slightly longer trailers, but the little pom-poms, as I call them, have been sort of nipped probably by the dominant male. But once again, I've removed a couple of the excess males and moved them up here where I can study them hard, and let's see if we can get them producing. I've done a lot of routine sort of water changey stuff around the back here. We've done some work on our Heckley tank. I'm trying to divide this group, sending some of these over to Max next weekend, hopefully, for him to play with. And I just need to get them, get a pair isolated. They're obviously digging and carrying on and putting people up in the corners, so they want to breed. It's just a matter of me getting them sorted. Our egg tumbler is the crimson, or now I'm saying it, the zebra obliquitans that I stripped, so some of those coming along. Some red empress in that tumbler. That's the failed tumbler full of rotten Coenga eggs. Down. I water changed this early in the week. These are the Neolampologus busheri canacondes that I have mentioned a couple of times in passing. Got our little batch of babies kind of starting to kick on. They sit up under the egg tumbler a lot. The egg tumbler is the other mouthful of the Lethratops lathrinus that I spoke of earlier, so I'm going to hopefully end up with a good number of those. And the final thing I'll have a quick chat about is these are the 2 big tanks that I have cleared out a lot of fish to Sydney in that order that I mentioned. Already starting to pile some baby fish back into the middle one. We've got some baby ventralis and blue otters and hongies, and a couple of yellows that were a bit small to go to Sydney. So not quite 200 fish in there, but getting near it. And I'm just trying to pick species that I can throw in there that I know I can sort out again later on. But so far these big tanks have really been hitting the benchmark for growing fish quickly, sort of hopefully a 6-week turnaround to get them from sort of 15 mil to getting close to thinking about selling them. And down the bottom here we've got a blank canvas, as I call it. There's 500 litres of fully prepped water ready to go with not much other than a couple of bristlenose in it. So my job is to go along these shelves and decide who's going to get grow out opportunity next. So there's been a bit going on, folks. I hope that was of interest. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Go the Cats.